The scene opens with Eddie Palmer, freshly released from prison, returning to his hometown and finding a world frozen in time. Even his bedroom still smells of nostalgia and cheap deodorant. As soon as he arrives, his grandmother Vivian greets him with a warm hug, casually mentioning their neighbor Shelley, whose love life is an endless episode of Jerry Springer. Shelley and her boyfriend have been tolerated in the neighboring trailer, but according to Vivian, only because of their son, Sam. During dinner, Vivian seizes the opportunity to give her grandson a verbal slap, suggesting he leave the pity club and find a job. Eddie tries the next day, but his criminal record proves too much of a hurdle, leaving him disheartened. After a rough start to the week, Eddie decides to get drunk and reminisce about the good old days with friends at the local bar. Daryl, a former football star, mentions that Eddie's record was broken years ago, while Coles, now the sheriff, tries to keep the encounter dignified and peaceful. Shelley shows up, her usual bull-in-a-china-shop subtlety in full swing, flirting shamelessly with Eddie. The next day, still recovering from his fun night, Eddie is dragged to church by his grandmother, along with Sam, who already shows a unique personality by clashing with his peers. Later, Vivian decides to take Sam in after Shelley disappears. The dynamic between Eddie and Sam is complicated. While Sam plays with dolls and watches princess cartoons, Eddie, trying to channel hero energy, attempts to teach the boy to be more masculine. Predictably, Sam ignores these lessons, forcing Eddie to question what it really means to be a father. Between job hunting, accusations of theft from Vivian, and a disastrous interview to become a school janitor, Eddie finally lands the job, thanks to his past fame as a college football player. Sam attends the same school and quickly becomes a favorite among the girls, though he faces judgmental looks from the boys. Things take an unexpected turn when Vivian passes away, leaving an emotional void in the house and forcing Eddie to take full responsibility for Sam. Their cohabitation is far from smooth, but there are touching moments. For instance, when Sam's teacher, Maggie Hayes, visits to check on him, Eddie tries to keep up appearances while Sam gets distracted by animated princesses. Maggie leaves her number, offering help, but Eddie, visibly uncomfortable, avoids any hint of romance. Despite his internal protests, Eddie begins to adapt to his role as guardian. He takes Sam to football games, reliving his own athletic glory days, and reluctantly joins a tea party with Sam and a friend's daughter. In these moments, Eddie realizes that, despite being different, Sam has a unique charm that captivates everyone around him. Of course, there are those who suggest Eddie turns Sam over to social services, but he resists, showing unexpected growth in character. Eddie's heartfelt revelation of his past to Sam, a confession that he once tried to rob money and ended up in prison, becomes one of the story's most sincere moments. Interestingly, Sam shares his own crime, stealing a classmate's toy. Their interaction reveals a growing emotional connection, showing that even the darkest pasts can heal through mutual understanding and empathy. Justin Timberlake, who plays Eddie, was praised for his dramatic performance in the film. Who would have thought the former NSYNC star would shine so brightly in such a gritty role? If I were in Eddie's shoes, I probably wouldn't have let Sam go back to Shelley in the first place, but I would have taken a more active approach to finding her. Less bar hopping, more practical networking. Eddie finally found a purpose in life. Nothing like feeling needed to give you the strength to face the day. Between pancakes and morning scoldings, Eddie tried convincing Sam that living on sweets alone isn't sustainable. After returning a stolen toy, with a moral nudge from Eddie, Sam earned a birthday party where Maggie and Emily showed up to brighten the scene. Eddie's gift? A ukulele. Genius for a kid who doesn't even like music. As the children had fun, Maggie, ever curious, chatted with Danny about his mom. He revealed that Shelley had run off when he was 5, and Vivian had stepped in as a substitute mother. While organizing old letters, Eddie was hit with a bombshell. Vivian, in her saintly generosity, had left everything to the church. That's right, everything. The house, the property, and a gentle push for Eddie to start packing. Meanwhile, Sam, already dealing with cruel classmates, decided he wanted to be Princess Penelope for Halloween. Of course, Eddie tried persuading him to pick another costume, but as any parent knows, good luck changing a kid's mind. To everyone's surprise, even the teacher joined the fun, dressing up as Mr. Forbes to support Sam. The tension rose when Maggie finally asked Eddie why he'd gone to prison. After a brief introspective moment, and maybe a slow-motion flashback, he revealed the truth. A youth filled with bad decisions culminating in a botched robbery. Note to self: Never trust a friend who brags about his dad's safe. Meanwhile, Sam faced the harsh reality of a troubled home when Shelley suddenly reappeared to take him back. The woman looked like she'd walked out of a zombie movie makeup session but insisted she was ready to care for her son. Eddie, resigned, let her take him, though it broke his heart. Sam soon returned to Eddie with grim stories about Shelley's boyfriend, Jerry, who seemed to be competing with her for the title of most irresponsible adult. Amid heated arguments and legal decisions, the judge decided Shelley deserved another chance. I won't lie, this part even had Eddie ready to throw in the towel. But fate, as stubborn as ever, had another twist in store. Shelley reverted to her old ways, and Eddie decided to step up as the reluctant hero we all knew he could be. If the story had a soundtrack, it would be something powerful like Redemption Song. The drama peaked when Eddie was arrested after rescuing Sam from Shelley. That's when Maggie, ever the voice of reason, and the only sensible character in the story, stepped in to help. Shelley, who seemed to live her life like a backward movie, finally realized Eddie was a positive influence on her son and agreed to give up custody. The film ends with the protagonist rebuilding his life alongside the boy who still needs support. If I were Eddie, I'd never have let Shelley take Sam back in the first place, but I'd also have been more careful to avoid landing in jail again. Self-preservation is key. An interesting takeaway from this story is how Eddie, despite all his flaws, ends up being the most stable figure in Sam's life. Isn't it ironic that the criminal becomes the hero? This is one of those cases where we realize real heroes aren't perfect. They just do the right thing when it matters. Here's a fantastic video where a bartender gets intimidated by gangsters. But little do they know, he's the most dangerous man in the mafia.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect.